If you could redo a renovation project, what would you do differently? Join me today for a rare opportunity to relive a renovation. It's all coming up next right here on For Your Home. Last season on For Your Home, I shared with you the renovation of my dream home. We started with a 30-year-old ranch and transformed it from this into this. I couldn't be happier with the way it turned out. It took us 8 months and we moved almost every wall in the house. But you know, I'm just like you. Sometimes I say to myself, what if I would have maybe picked a different style, a different color palette? What if I would have flipped for contemporary? So when a house 3 doors down from mine with exactly the same original floor plan as this house became available, I jumped at the opportunity. What a great project to take the same house and transform it into a totally different style. Come on, let me show it to you. Over the past 30 years, the house had really fallen into disrepair. The exterior and the interior had deteriorated and the yard was overgrown and suffering from severe erosion. The basic structure was literally rotting away from severe water damage. Now for some, they may have started running in the opposite direction, but not me. This project was absolutely perfect for me and for your home. So I made some calls, I got my team together, and we started Renovation Retake. Come on. The true test of any great designer is the ability to design for all their clients, regardless of their taste or their style. This is Janine Devaney. Hey Janine, how you doing?
Very good. Good to see you.
Well, it's great for you to be back, although, you know, Janine worked with me last time on my dream home. She did a fabulous job, and I was a little worried whether or not she'd come back and work with me again, but here you are.
Oh, it's a wonderful opportunity. We're going to take this to a totally different look and feel than your house, which is much more traditional, with beautiful furnishings, but this house, you and I have been brainstorming, and we're going to turn this into a contemporary installation.
I know, and I'm so excited about contemporary because, you know, I see it always when I'm like at High Point and, you know, shopping and the builder show and all. I see so many products coming in there that I can't wait to put in here. What are you seeing from a designer standpoint?
Well, Charlotte is making a big change. It has typically been a very traditional market, but with people coming in from all over the country and all over the world, we're seeing a lot more contemporary influences into the home designs. One of the first things that we have to do to take an old traditional floor plan is to open it up so that you have family cooking, family dining, family living, and living to the outside.
This means knocking down walls in Janine's terms? Go ahead.
Yes, I don't just rearrange the furniture, we rearrange the walls.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So what we've done here is, as you can see behind us, that we have opened it up to the kitchen, so we have wonderful lines of sight to other rooms, so it entices people to go from room to room and really gather in all spaces.
Yeah, because, you know, our houses, if the footprint gets a little smaller, we need to use every square inch that we have, and so when we have a big party, the fact that a house flows and moves well, that's one of the things I love about the design you did for my house, is I can open up all my pergola doors or all my palladium doors and just be open inside, outside. What are you planning for the outside of this house?
Well, it is a traditional brick home, single story, but we are planning for a fabulous outdoor living space. And instead of doing this typical southern porch across the front of the house, we're doing a pergola with gray cypress and fire that's not just a standard outdoor fireplace. So that's going to be bringing people outdoors through some wonderful
yeah, we have a lot of plans for fire, both inside and outside of the house. Safe fire, of course, we're talking about, because that's really something that's changed. Like this fireplace, which we're keeping, but we're changing because it was a traditional wood burning. It didn't even have gas to it.
Right.
So for this one, you're going to be doing something totally contemporary in here?
Absolutely. It's going to be very simple. Everything that is going to be built into this home will have simpler lines. The moldings, the light fixtures will be very dynamic, contemporary light fixtures. The cabinetry will be very clean lined. But it's going to be a soft contemporary too, with wonderful natural materials.
Not that high gloss modern that you're thinking about. And that's what I think is so exciting about exploring contemporary with you and Janine and our team, is that so many of you want to go that way and you think that your house, you can't do that because it's traditional or old world or whatever, but you can based upon the materials that you put into that project and the designs that you work with.
Absolutely. And the TV placement within homes will be in many places in this particular house because technology is also going to be added into this home because technology's where the people are in their homes today.
Yeah, and you know, you plan your designs too around where's that television going to go, as opposed to used to be as a designer, I would place the furniture based on where the TV, now we place the walls and the windows. Well, I'm excited about it. I've seen some of the sketches and some of the designs, of course, and it's just moving along beautifully, and I think they're really fantastic. We've got a great team, and you know, I think contemporary just might be a new look for me too someday. What do you think?
You think you might move down here?
I don't think that far. It's not all just about beautiful renovations. Every project is only as good as its basic foundation. And even though you may not like to spend your money behind the scenes, it's actually your very best investment. Don't ever even think about starting a project like this without hiring an engineer. Now, Matisse Barker was the engineer on my house, so it was an absolute natural to ask him to join the team again for this project. Okay, Matisse, you've been down to the new project house, you've been in the crawl, you've been up in the attic, you've looked around. What are our major problems down there?
Well, once again, the major problems are water intrusion, primarily around the front and back porches. You have significant rot damage in those areas.
That's the same problems we had here at this house, you know?
Pretty much.
Yeah, because the design is still the same. It's the same basic roof line that we had down there.
That's correct.
So are you anticipating we're going to have to be replacing band seals and that kind of thing?
Yeah, the band seal is completely rotten around both porches.
You know you're killing me over here, right? You're killing my checkbook here.
You know, it's what happens when, you know, the original design of the house did not sufficiently drain water away from the foundation.
And I think that's something that homeowners don't really think about. You know, they're out doing a flower bed and they're banking up that soil and they don't realize they need to get it away from the house.
Yeah, the code requires a 6-inch fall and 10 feet away from your foundation. And that is typically the #1 source of problems in homes is water intrusion.
Okay, so we're going to have to go in there, but we're going to be lucky because we're doing this big project, so it's the time to do it, and we can access this as opposed to a homeowner who's not planning to have to repair walls and flooring. Up in the attic, we went up there and you took a look at it. How does it look?
For the most part, the roof was, you know, pretty structurally sound. It was well braced, well framed, no major water intrusion through the roof penetrations or anything like that.
So we're in pretty good shape except for the whole bandwidth and all those joists and everything they have to do.
All in your foundation.
Okay, you know, one of the things, we always call you in on projects, and you've worked with us, you know, before. A lot of homeowners hesitate, though, to call an engineer in when they're doing a project. Let's say, for example, they just want to take down a wall between the kitchen and the dining room, make it bigger. I think that they hesitate because, A, maybe their ego says, I can handle this myself, and their checkbook.
Right. Well, I mean, typically for me to come out on a job site is going to be about $300. And, you know, depending on, you know, if we're talking about taking a wall out, it needs to be determined whether that wall is structural or non, meaning is it supporting ceiling joists, roof load, second floor, things like that. If it is, then it's going to require a beam.
And you tell them what size beam they have to have.
That's correct. I would run the calculations and size all the loads that are on that wall to determine the size of beam depending on the size of the opening you want to create.
Okay, all right. So whether they're going to have a steel beam, a laminated beam, whatever.
That's correct.
That's part of your project.
As well as how it's supported and what we need to do underneath the foundation, if anything, to support that
Okay,
beam.
so typically without a lot of major changes, you know, you're looking at probably $500 or so for a project like that.
For sure.
Yeah, and that's really well worth it when you stop to think that you're supporting your whole house.
Well, that's correct. Plus, you know, if you're using a engineered wood product like an LVL or a steel beam, you're going to need an engineered seal for that to be installed to pass your inspections.
Yeah, and you know, the code is, and the inspectors, they're getting harder and harder. They see a construction site, they're stopping, they're looking for those permits.
Right.
Yeah, and if you're, you know, I'm sure you run into a lot of homeowners being their own general contractors.
That's correct.
And so you
like
can kind of, yeah, kind of help them right through that process and make it a lot easier.
I try to, yes.
Yeah. Well, you're going to get all your designs together. You're going to get them over to Janine.
That's correct.
And Janine will finish up all of her drawings, construction drawings, and Josh can get them down to the county and get us our permits, and we'll be ticking along just like always.
Just like always.
Thanks, Matisse. Just like it takes a village to raise a child, it also takes a great team to renovate a house. This is Josh Jones, and he is our general contractor on the project. He's half of a duo of J&H Custom Builders. Your partner, Kyle Hedges.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. It's a team. It's always a team effort.
Most things are, right?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, absolutely. We couldn't do it without each other.
So now your role is what in this project?
My role is to come in and take us from this stage through the finishing part of it.
Okay.
Kyle got us to this stage, which was the demo, part of the framing, and then we sort of pass off, and I take it from here.
Well, you know, being a builder is a big job. What made you want to do that, take that challenge?
I knew that I wanted to be a part of something where I could see the beginning and the end and all the process in between, and touch and feel the finished product. And I knew that being a part of the downtown crowd and sitting at a cubicle every day really wasn't going to capture my strengths, and so this was the career that I decided I was going to go after.
Well, it's a lot like television. You know, we start off with something and we watch it all the way through until it's complete. So, you know, that would be pretty similar to the same thing.
Perfect.
Yeah. Now, in this particular project, you mentioned demo, and wow, I came down during the middle of demo, and it was crazy. Even though I lived through that demo down there, every time it's amazing.
Right. Yeah, it is a storm, so to speak. You know, it is a time where, you know, I sometimes ask homeowners to go on a vacation for a week while we do it, because you walk in if you're the homeowner and you see, oh my gosh, what did we just do to our investment that we just spent our hard-earned money on, and it's a big step backwards before you get to go forwards.
Yeah. Well, one thing you know is there's no turning back. At that point, you're committed to that. You know, one of the things that I noticed that's different in this renovation than on my house is that you guys chose to take almost all the drywall out of the house.
Sure.
Why?
We chose to do that for a variety of reasons. It's easier for our subs to have access to the areas that they needed to in the house. By code, we have to be able to get the whole house up to current day code, and so having that access helps with time. It saves money in the long run, we think. The other side of it is that if you have old drywall tied to new drywall, they may not look the same once you repair them. They may have years of paint or wallpaper or repairs on one side, and then you have new drywall on the other, and ultimately the finished product doesn't look as good.
Okay, now in the dining room though, you chose to leave the wallpaper, or excuse me, leave the drywall. Why?
We did, because there's going to be paneling in the in the dining room over the drywall, and so you won't see those damages, which really are just cosmetic, and it's just it's not a cost that you need to incur if you're going to be covering it up with paneling. Okay,
all right. So now we also had issues underneath the house in here. Matisse, when he got through looking at it, had some big plans for us.
He did.
What did we find there?
We found that there had been a water problem at some point in the life of this house. Through a little bit of exploration, we came to realize that they had solved the water problem by putting a drain inside the foundation. The part that they didn't solve was what had already occurred with the rotting of the wood, whether it was wall studs, whether it was girders, which are large support beams, or whether it was floor joists. So we had to go in and we had to remove what was damaged, and we had to replace it with new pressure treated lumber so that the supports that needed to be there were there in the right place, and really allowed the house to be structurally sound again.
Yeah, so you brought in a water sealing specialist, and he went over everything with you. And
we did.
So you feel really confident we're not going to have that problem going forward?
We feel confident, yeah. We will test it with using a hose, pouring the water into the drains to make sure that we see the water coming out in the places that they've channeled it. But yes, we feel confident that what's been put in place is actually doing its job.
Now, when I came down during the renovation, the demo process, I got to tell you, when I saw the floor in the master bathroom, I kind of flipped out a little bit. And I've seen a lot of construction. There was so much rot in the floor. What could have caused that?
It could be a variety of reasons. A toilet may have a slow leak over time that you may never know. The seal might have been broken and it just leaks out a little bit over time. And this house is old enough to where it could have been for 20 years. Same with the shower. In showers that are tile showers, you oftentimes will have water that just wicks through.
Yeah. Now, usually if it's on the second floor, you see it because the water comes through, but when it's on a ranch.
Yeah, and if it's a slow leak, you don't always see it. It just sort of materializes over time. But it's not uncommon for any bathroom on any floor to have that. And it's something that we typically expect when you tear a bathroom apart.
Yeah, a good reason, again, to open up all the walls like you're doing.
Sure.
Okay, so now we're at the stage where we've fixed everything underneath the floor. We have demoed everything. We've got all the new walls framed out based on Janine's design. And what is our next step going forward?
Our next step is for the next couple weeks, we're going to have the trades come through that are going to do the plumbing, the HVAC, the electricians, and the low voltage wiring. And so they'll get through, they'll get everything up to code, roughed in is what we call it, and then we will call inspections, which typically will take about a week to go through.
Okay, and then from that stage we'll move right on along into drywall.
That's right, that's right, yeah. We'll get our framing inspection along with all of our rough inspections, and then once we're past that, we're ready to insulate and start towards drywall, which is kind of the halfway point that I always say.
That's always the exciting part for me when I have walls. You know, I get really excited about that. Now, the last time that we did a project this size, at my house, it took 8 months to do, but we're on a fast track this time. What's our schedule?
We're going for 4 months is our schedule, and I think that we can do it. It creates challenges, certainly, one of which is scheduling. You schedule people, you call, you email, you confirm, and then it's not uncommon for somebody not to be there the day that they say.
See, again, that's something in common with television.
Yeah,
you book a guest, they don't show up, you got a hole in a show.
I know. You got to chase a bunch of adults down to make things happen.
Hey, that's TV. I'm telling you, if this job doesn't work out for you, you can always have my career.
I'm ready to switch when you are.
Yeah. Well, putting it on a fast track, making it 4 months, it's going to save me money, and you said it's going to save you money as well.
Right. It's cost effective for us. I mean, we both started our careers for a home builder that produces houses in a short time period, and that's the school of thought that we come from, and we understand that.
Well, quality homes, and that's why I chose you, because I've seen the work that you do. You've done work for friends of mine. You came highly recommended, and that's important to me because when I'm finished with this home, I want another homeowner to be really excited about what we've done together here.
Awesome. Yeah, we feel like the quality is always there. We can do whatever somebody wants, however they want it, and we try to make their goals ours.
Yeah, keep that attitude. It could be a long project.
All right, let's do it.
This is Jimmy Geiler, and he is the head electrician on this project. How you doing today, Jimmy?
Good, Vicki. How you doing?
Good, good. I'm really excited because this week is their inspection week, you know?
It is.
I know, that makes you pretty excited too, right? Now, what is the biggest problem that you run into, and especially on this project, with old and new?
Well, one of the biggest problems we run into is trying to attach the old part to the new part. There's some parts in the house that we left the existing wire in, and we're reattaching it to the new wire.
Okay, so merging the two of those together is really difficult.
It is, and by code we have to treat the old part as the new part, so we have to make sure that everything is taken care of, that we don't have any issues that we miss, because at the long run it could cause some major damage.
And I noticed here on the fireplace you've got wire looped and looped around, and you have it coiled up and stuck here. That's because we can't decide, or maybe I should say I can't decide, where I want my sconces yet and where we want the new recessed lighting in the coffered ceiling.
Exactly, that's what we did. Especially in this ceiling, we're having some beams coming across the ceiling, and we don't want to place the lights quite yet. We want the beams to be installed first, and then we place the lights. Same with the sconce lights. We don't know what type of sconce light we're going to use. That's why we loop the wire, and we left enough wire inside the wall. That way we can
pull it wherever we want to go with it. See, I like that. A guy who understands that I have to procrastinate a little bit to get what I want in here, right? Right? Well, I'm going to let Jimmy get on with the project because you guys have got to pass inspection because I got to keep this project moving.
Oh, we will. Thank you, Vicki.
Now, David, what do you think? Is this not the biggest FYH challenge ever?
This is going to be a big one. This is going to be quite the project.
Yeah, it looks sort of like Ghetto City back here, doesn't it?
Looks like a bomb went off. Maybe a training mission happened.
Well, I wanted to make sure the whole team was challenged this time out. This is David Hubbard, and he is with Growing Legacy. He is also my personal landscaper as well as the FYH landscaper. If you watch the show, you know he and his team have done some wonderful things.
Thank you.
And it's going to take all your skill for here, you know?
It's going to be a good one, though.
Okay, now, here's the issues I see. You hear that traffic out there? We got a busy road going on the other side of that brick wall. This is an urban setting, which is what people love now. We can walk to the store, or to the library, or wherever. But along with that comes traffic. I don't want to see the traffic, all right? And I want to hear as little of it as possible, so what can we do landscape-wise?
Well, we need to keep these big hollies and big magnolias. That's going to be a big plus for that. There's a few pockets in there that we can work on adding some plant material to buffer
It's really
that
heavy, very heavy shade, but you think we can get something to grow in there?
I think we can use some shade-loving plants that will fill those spots.
Okay, they grow fast.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, another thing that I noticed when I look at this yard is, if you can call it a yard, that we have some giant roots, especially from the magnolia tree, that have come all the way out of the dirt completely. We're not going to be able to grow anything or put grass there. So how are we going to accomplish that?
Well, we're going to, at the front of the house, we're going to raise the elevation up and make that level. A lot of these areas that have the large roots, we could grade, bring the grade up to the top of those roots. All this is going to remain natural areas, so we're not going to need to worry about
So we're just going to put some mulch
and
stuff on it like that?
Right.
It's okay. But now you said raise it up, so you're going to put like retaining walls in?
We're going to put a retaining wall that comes to the end of the steps that we're sitting on, and grade that level against the front of the house to the same grade as the sidewalk.
Okay.
Use some foundation plantings against the house, and we're going to use artificial turf for your lawn area.
Artificial turf? How come artificial turf instead of regular?
Well, it's going to be difficult to get equipment in here to service this part of the property. It's going to take a lot less irrigation and a lot less fertilizer and maintenance.
Okay, and I think that's a great thing, because the front yard is not really something people are going to come out and use a lot, except, do you think that we could take one of those artificial turf pads and turn it into a putting green?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I only live 3 doors down. I could come over here and do a little practice putting.
We can make that happen.
All right, I like that idea. Okay, so the front seems to be, even though it's kind of complicated, it seems to be straightforward. Now the back, that's a whole other story.
Bomb went off there as well.
Yeah, it did. Boy, this is a beautiful spot, don't you think?
It looks a little more open than it did.
Yeah, you guys already came in and tore out the old boxwoods that we had here, because, you know, the guys couldn't even get up here to the house to work.
Get their lumber in.
So I was glad to see those gone, and you took out an old dogwood, and it did kind of break my heart to see the camellia rose go out, but you said we couldn't save it, it was too big.
It just, I think redoing this whole area fresh and new is going to be the right way to go.
Okay, so tell me what you think here. What's your vision?
Well, the patio is going to change, the walk is going to change, going back with the aggregate gravel will be nice. We're going to bring some fire in for your patio.
And we've got a great pergola that's going to go over the top of this. It's going to be built out of American cypress.
Oh, that'll be great.
And so I'm real excited about that, and stain it a nice gray color. I'm not going to do an outdoor kitchen, but I'd like for us to have an area that a grill can go into. And then we have to bring gas up to the house anyway, because I never had it. So we'll bring some gas, and maybe over in that area there. What do you think?
Yeah.
And then some for the fire.
That'd be great.
Okay.
That'd be great. And I think you're going to have a pergola at the end of the road as well.
Yeah, because, you know, one of the things that this is at the end of the street, and when you look down the street, there's nothing that anchors it. Right now it's being anchored by the dumpster.
Right.
You know, there's nothing that anchors the end of that street. So I thought if we did a pergola there that matched this pergola, then it would sort of look like when you came past the garage, this is your compound.
Make the yard feel a lot bigger too.
Yeah, and because the park is across the street, you just have your whole really great area here. Okay, now this wall of hollies is key.
Some of the vines need to get cleaned out and so forth, and a couple of these volunteers probably need to get cleaned out.
These trees over here?
I think so, and just keep that hedge as healthy as possible.
Okay, and just keep it going, and you won't have to trim it or anything, huh?
I would leave it.
Yeah, because you got to get a really tall ladder if you're going to trim that thing, David.
Or a bucket truck.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. All right, so now I know you've been working with Kyle and them because you've got a real grading issue going on over here. So that's going to take you and Kyle and the waterproofing guy and the gutter guy, everybody to work on that project.
All that, once this is all going back in new, it shouldn't be a problem to have the grade correct.
Okay, all right, so you'll do it all at one time.
Right.
Okay. Well, it looks great. I know if we can keep the sod here and the walkways here as long as possible, it'll keep the mud down in the project.
That'll help.
That'll help, huh? Okay, so you know what, David? This is a big challenge. I know you guys are up to it, though.
Absolutely, we're ready.
All right, so am I.
Sounds good.
We've talked about everybody's role on this project except for mine. You're probably wondering, Vic, what do you have to do? Well, I got a lot of responsibility. As a creative designer, it is my job to make sure everybody understands my vision. I can't make the assumption that the framer has the same idea about contemporary as the cabinet maker. I have to stay 2 steps ahead of everyone. For example, Today, the rough plumbing is going in. Before he could do his work, I had to have selected all of the sinks for the kitchen, the laundry room, and all 3 bathrooms. If I didn't know what kind of faucets were going in, he can't do his job. For example, a wall-mounted faucet and a vessel sink are plumbed differently than a counter-mounted. Same is true with the kitchen. The kitchen cabinets had to already be approved for their layout because the plumber needs to know where are the sinks going to go so he knows where to bring his pipes up, where's the dishwasher going to go. And in the laundry room, what kind of washer and dryer are we using? Where are they going to be positioned? All of those decisions have to be made a long time before the rough trades get here. Now, as a homeowner, whether you're working with a designer or not, it is your job to stay ahead of the project at all times. Yeah?
Quick question for you.
See, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Everybody needs me. Do you want to know more about the projects today or our guests? Visit us on the web. You're going to find great behind-the-scenes shots, streaming video, project ideas. We even have an e-newsletter with tips and ideas. It's foryourhome.com. Over the next 4 months, we're going to share every step in the process of transforming this home. You're going to meet the people and see the products that turn this from what it is now into a great contemporary abode. You know you don't want to miss a single one of those episodes. See you next time, right here on For Your Home, Really Challenged. Okay. All right, ready? Ready? You ready? Okay, over the past 30 years, the house has really fallen into disrepair. Yeah, do it again.